everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy 5. I'm your host, JT. Right off the rip, I'd love to give a shout out to John, JB, and Jake for giving me a chance to do this. I've been in the background with the Sideline Sports podcast for the past month and a half, 2 months or so. It's been a great time, and I really appreciate them giving me the opportunity to spit out some of my fantasy knowledge to all of you guys. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do here, it's just going to be a short little segment. As the namesake says, Fantasy 5. I'm hoping for 5 minutes. Could be a couple under, could be a couple over, depending on the week. This week I'm going to be talking 5 guys who got injured. Unfortunately, got to talk about it. First week, got some big ones. I'm going to be talking 5 guys who I think you should pick up for your flex position, for your bench, for your fantasy team. And lastly, I'm going to be talking 5 guys that, 5 rookies rather, that I've got ranked from 5 to 1 who I think are going to have a big impact going forward. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. First up, let's go ahead and get these injuries out of the way. 5 guys that everybody's heard of that have taken some injuries that you've got to keep your eye on if you've got them, or if somehow they're available, you're thinking about doing a trade for them. If somebody wants to unload them, keep your eye on them. Najee Harris, first up. I've got to say him first because he's my RB1. He was my keeper going into this year. So I was really worried when he went down. Luckily, all the tests came back negative. With that foot injury, a lot of people were saying he could have re-aggravated the injury he had in the preseason. Luckily not. He could play as soon as this week. He's probably going to be on a limited rotation in the backfield, but nonetheless, happy to see it's not going to be a long-term injury with Najee. Next up, T. Higgins. Plain and simple, he's got a concussion. He's questionable going into this week. But if you've got him, if you've got any other Bengals, it's going to impact how your fantasy lineup's going to shape up this week. Next up, Dak Prescott, similar situation. He's out indefinitely. As everybody saw, he's got that thumb injury. He had surgery on Monday. Everything went as planned. But nonetheless, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, unless Jerry Jones has anything to say about it. He thinks 4 weeks. I think that's insane. So keep an eye on CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup when he comes back, Zeke, Tony Pollard even. They're all going to take some type of hit in some shape or form. Next up, Keenan Allen. He's got that hamstring injury. He's doubtful because he plays tomorrow, Thursday, against the Chiefs. So he's doubtful as of right now. If he does get any time, it's going to be extremely limited. So he's probably not a good play for you this week. Next up, Elijah Mitchell. He's got that MCL sprain. He's out indefinitely. He was placed on the IR on Tuesday, I believe it is. I'm going to be diving into the San Francisco backfield in a minute, so just stay tuned. With that said, let's go ahead and hop right into some waiver wire pickups. Some guys this week who I think could get some extra time, who could just be some good stash players for you, or some guys to just keep an eye on. So first up, I've got Isaiah McKenzie for the Buffalo Bills. He came in just short of 10 fantasy points last week. He's a solid wide receiver 3 on what's undoubtedly the most consistent offense in the game right now. So he's a fantastic play. He could make a great flex position on a particular week where he's got a good matchup, or in a week where somebody's on the injury list, or is just going to be getting limited time for the Bills. Next up, Julio Jones. With Chris Godwin going down, he's or on a snap count or on the injury list, Julio Jones should be able to see some favorable targets for the Bucs. He looked flashy on Sunday night. He only had 3 receptions, but he netted them for 69 yards totally. So you love to see that out of the veteran player. He's still demanding those deep routes, so hopefully they'll be able to keep that going in the future. Next up, Jarvis Landry. Interesting play here out of Cleveland, out of my guy Jarvis Landry, but he's going to be able to produce from the slot for the Saints. There's no 2 ways about it. You can't look past 9 targets and over 100 yards receiving in the first game. Plus, in the back of my mind, I just can't physically vision Michael Thomas being able to stay healthy for long term. So I could see Jarvis Landry's role increasing even more. Next up, Jahan Dotson. I'm going to be talking about him in the future with these rookie receiving rankings. I'm telling you, I've got him as my best guy for week 1. Hopefully he's going to be able to continue to be their red zone target. He had 2 touchdowns from Trey Lance in week 1. Sorry, not Trey Lance, Carson Wentz in week 1. Curtis Samuel's another guy that I could add onto this list as Washington's wide receiver 2. But I figured I'd just tack him into Jahan Dotson as he's getting all the talk. So Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel here is going to be an interesting race, I think, here to claim that wide receiver 2 spot. And they've got a good chance to show it this week against the Lions. Lastly, for your waiver wire pickups, mainly for this week or for the coming weeks, I've got Jeff Wilson Jr. with Elijah Mitchell out, Wilson's going to be stepping up as that lead back for the 49ers. Now they have a lot of weapons with Trey Lance and Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, guys like that. But simply put, they can't make up all the touches on the ground. So playing against the Seahawks this week, it's going to be kind of a favorable matchup, despite the fact that the 49ers lost last weekend. But Jeff Wilson's going to get some touches. He's going to be the lead guy. They've got a couple practice squad guys rather, who are going to be, backing him up. But he should be able to get, 10 rushes or so. Hopefully they'll be able to get him going in the passing game as well. A couple guys I've got to put on honorable mention. A couple quarterbacks. Jameis Winston. He's a dog, simply put. Love seeing him play well against the Falcons, especially in the second half on Sunday. Love to see him get that dub. Congratulations to Jameis. He's been my guy since the offseason. Love to see him shine. And last but not least, Carson Wentz. A lot of people are saying that he dedicated that game to the Queen because he looks exactly like Prince Harry. I say that he just had a good game, but nonetheless, he's somebody to keep an eye on going forward. So to wrap things up here, I'm gonna give you guys some rookie rankings. First up, let's go ahead and start with my number 5 guy here. I've got Chris Olave, another New Orleans Saint that I had to shout out. Nothing too crazy. He had 3 receptions, I believe, for 41 yards in week 1. Here's the pup, Luna. She's my dog pound. As I said, I'm a Cleveland guy, so I had to get a dog pound. So she'll be in and out of the Fantasy 5. She's going to be my co-host. But as I was saying, I've got Chris Olave, 3 receptions, 41 yards. Hopefully he'll be able to keep that going as the season goes on. Excuse me, Luna. Next up, Dameon Pierce. He had a lot of buzz going into the preseason. Him and Breece Hall are definitely the 2 guys looking forward. I'm fighting with my co-host here. Sorry about that. But week 1, he had 11 touches, and he tacked on a reception on top of that. So you're going to have to see how that Houston backfield progresses. You've got Rex Burkhead, who's got that veteran presence. He's the obvious pass receiver out of that backfield. But Dameon Pierce is going to be the power guy. He's hopefully going to be, a Nick Chubb-esque guy for the Texans. So another guy to keep your eyes on. Next up, Treylon Burks. Not a bad day for him for week 1. Hopefully you're going to be able to see that target share rise for him. He got 6 targets. He was actually outshined by Kyle Phillips, a 5th rounder for the Titans, who got more snaps and had 10 targets. But Treylon Burks being that high value, high price tag name kind of guy, he's gonna demand more of those targets going forward, and I think he's gonna get them. Next up, got to do a Cleveland guy, the dog himself, Cade York, 4 for 4 field goals, including that 58-yarder to win it. I mean, he's gonna. There's a reason we picked him in the draft. A lot of people gave us crap for it, but week 1 he came out and he showed us why he's going to be a good value for the Browns. So all the credit in the world to Cade York. Congratulations on that 58-yarder, man. Lastly, Jahan Dodson. As we talked about before, Jahan Dodson got two touchdowns. Hopefully he's going to be able to be that red zone target for the Commanders. He ran great routes against Shaq Griffin and Tyson Campbell and the Jaguars. He's a great guy to watch. He's a fun guy, good guy off the field too. So he's the number 1 guy on my rookie rankings for week 1, and it's going to be tough to unseat him. So hopefully, guys like Treylon Burks or even Breece Hall, guys like that. I'd love to see more of them, show that development that they've been doing for the past month or so. But for right now, Jahan Dodson's got the list. So with that said, that's going to do it for the first week of the Fantasy 5 podcast segment. Thanks everybody very much for tuning in. This is going to be a learning experience. This is my first time on a podcast. So things are going to look different even next week, I'm sure. So bear with me. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thanks for tagging on along with the ride. We'll see you next week.